Hey, everybody. Have you ever had the experience of wanting something really badly, willing it with your heart and soul 100%, and then, bah humbug, nothing happens? What's with that exasperating experience? My name is Karen Bentley. I'm creator of The Warrior's Way, where I teach people how to use will, how to work with will, how to manifest what's willed, and to make it real in our world. So, what's going on exactly when willpower doesn't work? Is it you? Is it the process you're using? Are you doing something wrong, something dumb? Is it the universe telling you you can't have what you want? Is it God refusing to answer your prayers? What is going on here? So, what you most need to know is that there are four potent obstacles, resistances that block willpower and that make it harder than it needs to be. And you might need to neutralize one or all four of these obstacles before you get what you want. So they are, just to recap quickly, a belief that God doesn't want you to have things, that things are bad, that there's confusion with harm and harmfulness, and one is creation and one is destruction, the perception that what you want is impossible or impossible for me, and fourth, that it's going to be too hard or take too much effort. And then I'm going to save the best for last. The best for last is the magical condition that undoes all of these blockages, accelerates your wills, pours gas on it like going on a fire, and it takes your willpower and turns it into a raging, fierce force, and it transforms you into a magnet that brings people and resources and conditions and timing to your aid. And so, what is that secret? How do you get it? Stick around, because, like I said, the best is for last. So let's start by taking a look at willpower. What exactly do the words will and power mean? So your will is something you desire or want. To say, I will it, means I want it. And your power, an act of power, is consciously knowing exactly what you want. This power is the star that draws the condition to you, or you to it, or pulls you towards each other. It's you saying to the universe, hey, this is what I want. Give it to me. Come to me. So you will what you want, and you realize you have the power to make this happen. And that's the meaning of willpower. But there are reasons why willpower doesn't work, which means you don't get the desired result. And the problem isn't with willpower. So don't give up on it. There's nothing bad, wrong, or inappropriate about knowing exactly what you want and willing yourself to have it. This brings us straight into the first interference, which is the prevalent spiritual and religious belief that wanting something material is contrary to God's will. And this might not be an issue for younger people who aren't so indoctrinated into religions, but it might be an issue for older folks, or at least confusing to them, or maybe especially for folks who've dabbled into Buddhism or Hinduism. So in Buddhism, for example, there's the belief that desire is the root of all suffering. This is also in Hinduism, that desire leads to bondage. In Christianity, there's many monastic traditions that embrace vows of poverty and self-denial. Desire is sometimes linked to sin or to distraction from God's will. More specifically about money, Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And my purpose here isn't to convert anyone, but for now, for the purpose of making your will happen, let's all agree there might be another more helpful interpretation about God, which is that God is love and only love, and God wills our happiness, not our suffering. This means you are not bad, wrong, or inappropriate to want something material or to want a condition to come into your life. And most of all, it means that God doesn't judge you for wanting something. This brings us to the happy conclusion that God is for us. God is for us, not against us. The second obstacle is the idea that we can want harmful things and it'll be okay. But harmful things always lead to suffering, pain, anxiety, guilt, sense of unworthiness. And we usually want something harmful when we're reacting to a disappointment or a hardship of some kind, and we mistakenly think that revenge or retaliation or hatefulness is going to get us to another better place. And all of these things are harmful. And wanting something harmful is like going forward with the brakes on. It's with hesitation. It's with fear. It's with awareness that this is not wholesome. And that kind of holding back is a drain of power and a loss of power. And every single one of us has had the experience of doing something harmful and not feeling good about it. And unfortunately, this awareness is just the start, so to speak, because if you go through with it, the real resistance comes afterwards. So sure, you might get your revenge, but you feel bad about yourself, and that bad feeling lingers. And instead of joy, you have excuses. And instead of joy, you have guilt. And instead of joy, you get, anxiety. And instead of joy, most importantly, you get unworthiness. So why give yourself all this resistance, all this suffering, all this pain? It's much easier to scrub what you will and to make sure you're asking for something that is harmless, which is creation, rather than something that is harmful, which is destruction. Harmlessness makes it possible for things to come to you more quickly, more easily, without obstruction, without resistance, without bad feelings. And oh, by the way, if you are interested in learning more about the uncommon path of harmlessness, consider coming to a program I developed called the Love Experience, where you learn that love is the answer to every problem, but love is only and always harmless. And this brings us to the third obstacle, which is the belief that what you want isn't possible or not possible for me. So let's say your will is to take a rocket trip to the moon, but deep down, for whatever reason, you don't really think a trip to the moon is possible, or maybe it's not possible for you. Or maybe your will is to make $1 million, but deep down, you don't really think it's possible to make $1 million, or it's not possible for me. Or how about this one? What if your will is to reunite with an ex-partner, but deep down, you don't think that a reunion is possible? So which energy do you think is going to dominate? Which is stronger? Is it your willpower, or is it your conviction that something isn't possible? And hands down, your conviction is going to win every time. So you already know what to do if you're dealing with a problem like this. You can scale the thing you want back, or you can take it in steps, or you can find something else that you actually believe is possible and, build a track record for yourself. Or another option is to start reprogramming your mind into believing the thing you want is possible after all. In situations where I personally have doubt about whether something I want is possible, I do the work of finding role models. They might be celebrities, or they might be people in my world who've already done the thing I want, or who've done something similar. And then I at least have evidence that what I want is doable. And that's one chink of resistance removed. Then all I have to do is believe it's possible for me. Possible for me, I can do it. And whether or not something is possible for me or for you always has to do with feelings of worthiness, which is something we all struggle with. It's not just you. There's nothing wrong with you. This is part of the human condition. We all struggle with worthiness. So your job is to beef up your self-worthiness if this is a place where you're struggling. And we have tools like affirmations and journaling and self-forgiveness and extensive self-care. But as I mentioned before, if you'd like to learn more about the practice of harmlessness, please consider coming to the Love Experience. And lastly, there's one last interference that diminishes your willpower, and that's the perception of hardness. It is absolutely essential to see your will fulfilled without effort. This means you give yourself messaging about ease, speed, how effortless it's going to be. You never speak to yourself in a rushing or hurried voice. There's no urgency. You express your will in a monotonous, routine, soothing way. No harshness, no drama, no judgment. There's nothing special going on here. There's nothing hard going on here. It's just a simple, boring, everyday request. So to recap, We just covered the 4 fine-tuning techniques for willing something into existence. They are the helpful idea that God wills our happiness rather than the prevalent spiritual idea that God doesn't want us to have things. 2, that wanting something harmless and creative is going to work better, faster, and easier than wanting something that's harmful or destructive. 3, you need to state your will in a way that reflects what you believe is possible in general and what's possible for you specifically. And 4, give yourself messaging about ease, speed, and ordinariness about your request. And lastly, if you're still with me, let's talk about the accelerant, the magical practice that adds everything you want to your willpower. It adds speed, it adds ease, it adds energy, it adds mega power. Can you guess what it is? It's something we all have, something we all can easily use. It doesn't require any training. It doesn't require any instruction whatsoever. It's not hard. Every 5-year-old uses it and knows how to use it. And it's your imagination. Imagination, I promise you, imagination is stronger than willpower. Let me repeat that again. Your imagination is stronger than your willpower. So if your willpower isn't working, add imagination. When and where willpower fails, imagination succeeds. Imagination, of course, is the ability to see something in your mind that doesn't currently exist. So Albert Einstein famously said, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination encircles the world. Emile Coué, the godfather of autosuggestion, which is now called affirmations, said, our imagination holds all the strings. Imagination can be shaped, it can be directed, it can be grown. It isn't bound by what happened in the past. It makes it possible for invention to happen, disruption of the status quo to occur. It's the fuel for art. It's the fuel for science. It's the fuel for breakthroughs of every kind. So when you take the time to create a picture in your mind, you open every door for yourself. You make it possible for something new and different to happen for yourself. And you can do this on your own. There's nothing hard about it. But if you want and need help, and if you would prefer a standardized, proven process for using your imagination and putting it to work, consider my Warrior's Way Apprentice webinar, where we use a really exciting, really powerful imagination tool for creating a rich, satisfying, magnificent life for self. So there you have it, folks. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please smash the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. I can't wait to be with you again. Come back. Mwah. Big love at you.